and welcome to today's episode of So You Think You Can Mechanic. If you guys want to change out your brake lines, this is the video for you. I have a steel brake line cable, which is supposed to be really fancy and helpful in braking situations. First things first, what we're going to do is we're going to bleed the brake lines. So, there we go. Just going to loosen those. So I can get to the brake master cylinder a little bit easier. Okay, step number 2 is going to be on the floor over here. We're professionals, I promise. Okay, so as you can see right here, this is a brake caliper, right? This little bolt right here is what you use to bleed the brake line. So you take the dust cover off. It does take a little work, but it's just a rubber grommet. Just normally pull that off with your fingers. What I normally like to do is I like to feed my hose. I can't remember what size of hose this is. It should just be a small, like an 1/8, maybe a 1/4 inch hose that I got from Lowe's, Home Depot, that kind of thing. Just anything that's super cheap that you can use for this. Once you have your little tube on, right? What I normally do is I take a water bottle that I can use to fill up the brake fluid and whatnot, and I'll cut a little X into the top, right? Kids, don't do this at home because it's dangerous. You can cut yourselves. And we all know kids shouldn't cut themselves because they're our greatest treasure in life. So, once you have your little X cut in there, you're going to take the end of the line and you're just going to press it down in there as hard as you can. So this little nipple bolt right here is an 8mm, so I've got this. And all you're going to do is, I'll break it real quick. So, step 1, you're going to open it. Step 2, quiet kid's going to hit the lever. Step 3, you're going to close it. And we're just going to do that over and over again until we're good. Okay, so step 1, open. Step 2, push. And then step 3, close. So you don't have to pump it, just come in once. Alright. And then we're good. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Nice. 1, 2, 3. Nice. Alright. Let's take a look at the master cylinder. Make sure that it's going down. I'm gonna go ahead and take these 2 screws off so you can look into the cover. Okay, we got those guys. Here's our cover. This is just a little baby cover that goes over the accordion. And then this is the accordion. So normally it's up here kind of flush. You can see it's going down, which is good, which means that we're pushing fluid out. Okay. So yeah, so as you can see, all the fluid is out of there, which is good because it's going to be less messy for us when we take the actual line out. Okay, and then if we come down here, go ahead and we'll open this basically all the way and just see if the fluid won't fall out on its own. As long as that hose is lower, it should just go out on its own. So as you can see up here, we're starting to get some air bubbles, right? Which means that for the most part, the brake line is going to be clear. Now the reason that you want to bleed it like this instead of just taking this bolt off and catching it with a paper towel or a bucket is brake fluid is super corrosive. So this is a really easy way of doing it safely without hurting the parts of your bike. It doesn't look like it's flown out anymore. I'll go ahead and close this nipple bolt. It's also really fun to take what's left in this bottle and throw it into a roommate's dormitory. Because for the most part, they'll either get really disgusted by it or drink it, which is a win for no, don't do that. Don't do that. So now that we have everything out of the brake lines, next thing is going to be taking apart the actual line, right? So there's 4, kind of 5 bolts that you got to take apart. So this little reflector right here, I'm gonna actually take that apart just so I can see stuff better. So it's an 8mm. Come on, good girl. Perfect. So as you can see, that opens up the brake line nicely. Okay, so first one we're gonna take apart is this bottom one right here. The reason we take this one apart first is that's where all the brake fluid is gonna come out of. So you wanna make sure you got a rag and a receptacle. It's a receptacle? It's receptacle ready for when you come out. So it's a 12mm bolt. Just go ahead and put that right there. Looks like we got most of it from the bleeding. Alright, perfect. Clean this up so there's no residual brake fluid or anything like that. Quiet Kid's going to show you guys how to take the rest of it apart and we'll go from there. So sweet. Now that Quiet Kid has got all that stuff finished up there, down there, we're going to do the bolt that's up here. So, the bolt that's up here, this guy, is the one that connects the line to the master cylinder, right? So this is a 12mm bolt. Go ahead and add that. Break it loose. Did you see where that went, Quiet Kid? So, break the bolt. Go ahead and pull this out. Make sure you have a paper towel ready in case there's any residual brake fluid that comes out. This guy. Perfect. Got that little copper washer that's on the bottom. And then pull that out and let Quiet Kid take the line. Quiet Kid, take the line. Take it from my hands. So, now we've got our fancy new brake line, right? So feed this down to Mr. Quiet Kid. Actually, I'm gonna need that back. Give it back! Give it back! No! No! Double check, make sure that's going the right way. Because the biggest issue here is going to be that. Hitting the... Come in here, Miz. It's going to be hitting the screen. It's like, I don't know if you guys can see that. It hits the screen right there when we put it in.